Good news for those of us here in northern Colorado. House Bill 1103 has made it out of committee. It shows that your vote counts, and it shows that that parties, when they work together, can accomplish something. Just imagine if we were Germany, we had 7 political parties, and we had to figure out how in the world we're going to vote on this thing, because this isn't a priority for this guy, and it's not for this guy, but it is for this guy, and so on and so forth. House Bill 1103 makes it out of committee, and I'm assuming because he was there, we got him on the line, Weld County Commissioner at Large, SeanConway. Sean, thanks for being on the air with us. Were you there for the hearing?
I was, Luke. I came down here this afternoon. I'm headed back to Greeley, driving in rush hour traffic, but it was a very good day today for not just northern Colorado and Weld County, but I think all of us who are trying to bring some sanity back to this emissions testing program that was thrust on us in 2009. And your Weld County Board of Commissioners have worked tirelessly with Representative Vaught, Senator Renfro, to try to get this done. And today we began that process, and we had a successful outcome. The House Environment and Health Committee on a 7-6 vote, a lot closer than I thought we would have, but some folks who, quote, said their mind was still open, unfortunately didn't vote with us. We'll continue to work on them. But the bill passes. It moves on to the next step. It goes to the House Appropriations Committee. I don't have yet the date and time of that hearing, but it should happen within the next 2 weeks. We feel really good about that committee. That committee last year approved a similar bill. But Representative Vaught, Mayor Tom Norton came down and testified on behalf of the bill. We had a number of citizens come down and testify for the bill. And once again, the only people that were opposed to the bill was the Colorado Department of Health. And their excuse was that, somehow, some way, Luke, I'm still trying to figure all this out, that Weld County creates all this ozone pollution that impacts the Denver area. I don't know how the 250,000 people out of over a metropolitan area of 3 million people creates all of this pollution, but somehow, some way, that's how they argue it. And, of course, the EnviroTest, the company that obviously has the sole source contract and makes a lot of money off the program. So it's not surprising that those two entities would be opposed to our bill, which would eliminate the emissions program in Weld County. But so be it.
Yeah.
But, I want to thank the members of the committee. I do also, as a public service, want to let House District 50 residents know that unfortunately Representative Young voted against the bill. And so he will get another opportunity to vote on this bill when we get it to the floor of the House. And I would hope his constituents, the people he represents, contact him and tell him how important this bill is in terms of where they would like him to vote. So unfortunately, he was one of the no votes. We'll continue to try to pass along information and answer his questions. I thought we did a very good job today on that. In terms of things, but unfortunately he decided to vote no on the bill. I believe he will get 2 more times to vote on this bill in the House Appropriations Committee and on the floor of the House over the course of the next couple of weeks. And we certainly hope that the residents of House District 50, which is mostly Greeley and Evans, go to Representative Young's coffee meet and greets on the weekends, or shoot him an email or a phone call and let him know that his constituents want this.
Sean, let's tell the folks a little bit about this bill here because we've been mentioning it, but we haven't given folks kind of the nuts and bolts of it. This bill, and by the way, real quick, you mentioned Renfro. Last I looked at this bill, there wasn't anybody carrying it in the Senate. Did Renfro sign on to it? No,
Senator Renfro has introduced another bill that we, from a strategic standpoint, we decided to do this year. We decided strategically on this bill because we had success in the House last year to only introduce the House bill.
Okay.
Senator Renfro is supportive of the bill and will work vigorously once we get it over from the House to enact 1103. But Senator Renfro has introduced another bill. I believe it is, I think it's Senate Bill 217, but I don't have that right in front of me, Luke, so I might be off a little bit.
Sure.
And what that bill does is extend there is a time period. When you buy a new car, you do not have to get your emissions tested for 4 years. You have a 4-year waiver period. Senator Renfro's bill would extend that out to 8 years, but he left the bill title vague enough that if we run into trouble with 1103, we can add portions of 1103 onto that bill.
Okay. Well, the one we're talking about here, 1103, would allow county commissioners to remove their county from the emissions program as long as it shows that their emissions are low enough. Basically, and that's basically it, right?
That is correct. And currently, Weld County is at the EPA standard, which was reaffirmed this past August by the Obama administration, is 75 parts per billion, or 0.075. And so Weld County right now is at 0.070. So we are. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're measuring parts per billion, 5 parts per billion is a lot. We are substantially below that, and so if this bill were passed, the Weld County Board of Commissioners would be given the authority to vote Weld County out of the program, thus ceasing the program in Weld County. Larimer County Commissioners could do the same thing if they were in compliance. Right now, we're trying to get the data. In the past years, the Colorado Department of Health has been very transparent with their data. But, Luke, surprisingly so this year, they've been very quiet with releasing the data. I can't figure out why, Luke. Can you help me understand that?
Oh, Sean. Hey, tell me, by the way, with Weld County being a home rule county, because we were just talking about Weld being home rule last week, help us understand why, because I know there's some mechanics to it. Help us understand why it is that even though we're a home rule county, we weren't able to exempt ourselves in the first place.
Because it was a state law, and we are not, as a home rule county, on statutory issues, able to override an action of the state legislature. We can exempt ourselves from certain rules and regulations that are issued by the state, but we are not allowed to override state law. And Senate Bill 3, which put us in the emissions program in 2009, despite our vigorous protests, that was the Randy Fisher bill.
Right.
Once that happened, and then what concurrently happened after that is that there was a rulemaking hearing that you remember by the Air Quality Control Commission, which reaffirmed that. And so from that point in time, that's why we have to go through the legislature to change this, because we have to change existing law. We can't invoke our home rule charter. Municipalities or counties cannot override state law. For
those of you just joining us, we're speaking with Weld County Commissioner at Large Sean Conway. Sean, I find, and comment on this at whatever level you like, but one of the things I found interesting is that House District 50's representative votes against the bill when District 50, with the age of the residents, it's an aging district. People more and more on fixed incomes every day in District 50 going to be hit, and have already been hit the hardest by this bill in all of Weld County.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Of all the districts, the legislative districts, I believe in northern Colorado, not just in Weld County, but northern Colorado, the ones that are disproportionately hurt the most are senior citizens and people who are, working 2 or 3 jobs to put a roof over their head, put food on the kids, food on the table and clothes on the kids' back. And I made those arguments again today. Nobody challenged me on it. I was not. Representative Young never asked me a question about that. He mostly asked me a question about a technical term that clearly he got from the Colorado Department of Health, which hopefully I answered answered his question. If I didn't, I apologize, and I'll do a better job next time in terms of the technical nature of the question. Look, you know why I'm fighting this fight. I fight this fight because so many people in our community are really struggling economically, and this the senior citizen that drives their car to church on Sunday and to the grocery store once a week is not contributing greatly to our air quality with an older, negatively with an older car.
Well, certainly not in Denver. Certainly not in Denver.
No, I mean, what surprised me was that even after 3 years of this discussion, and I pointed out to the committee today, the Colorado Department of Health basically didn't tell you the truth last year when this bill was before you last year. They said they needed to do this because the EPA was going to lower the standard to .070 and .065, and no Colorado county could meet that test at that point in time. As a result, we need all of the Colorado counties in this. Well, guess what happened? I told the committee last year there is no way the EPA will lower the standard below .075 because there is no evidence that health and safety of anybody is jeopardized at that standard. And guess what? The Obama administration EPA, Luke, this isn't, a Republican administration that people could say, well, they're just, they're not caring about people. The Obama EPA administration said .075 is acceptable.
And I'll go a step further than that when it comes to the legislature, Sean. The disingenuous nature of the legislature in the last, already in this session and then in the last two sessions, as you know, we send people to Denver for the House and the Senate that tell us every year we need to be for the folks. Times are tough. We're going to do everything we can to improve things for you. Instead, not the maintenance on my vehicle, not to put gas in the vehicle. They don't have control over that. But the operating costs that I owe to the state for my vehicles in the last few years, as you know, with both faster and with these regulations, has quadrupled what it has cost me to operate my cars made in the 90s.
No, you're absolutely right. And for what reason? The thing I pointed out, we imposed, quite frankly, I asked the Colorado Department of Health today, and I got no answer. I got kind of blank stares, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. I said, we've had admissions in northern Colorado now for more than a year. According to your own testing, the ozone level hasn't gone down. If you're going to impose a program, shouldn't the ozone levels get better, Luke?
Yep.
Not stay the same? And
now all those vehicles now have had their emissions done, or else they wouldn't have gotten their tag renewals since this was put in place.
Exactly. Both in Larimer and Weld County.
So that you got no answer?
Program since November of 2010.
You got no answer?
They looked at me and said, "Well, you don't understand." I guess I don't. I mean, if the issue is we want to make the air cleaner, and you impose a program to make the air cleaner, and it doesn't get cleaner, what are you accomplishing? The only thing getting accomplished here, Luke, is that $25 is going out of your and my pocket, and a lot of other people who, quite frankly, have to prioritize. $25 is a lot of money to a lot of folks out there who are struggling and working 2 or 3 jobs, and a senior citizen on a fixed income. But it's even more than that, Luke. You know that. The idea that they know that they don't have a waiver process to deal with senior citizens who could they exempt out. Have they done anything about that over the last year?
No.
Did today any legislator ask me, what could we do to help seniors? What could we do to help people on fixed incomes that have older cars that can't afford the $750 you must spend in order to pay another $75 for a waiver? How many people on fixed incomes and senior citizens on fixed incomes can afford $850 for a waiver? I mean,
right.
Goodness gracious. I mean, they don't care. Look, you are right. I'm tired of folks who constantly tell me, I care about the poor, I care about seniors, I care about working people, and they impose rules and regulations like this. And then when the opportunity comes up for them to change it, they say, no, so sad, so sorry, move on.
Well,
I had a legislator today that told me,
Sean,
honest to God,
Sean, I got to run, Sean. I'm up against a break here. I appreciate you calling. Thanks so much for all you do with the county commission. That's Sean Conway, ladies and gentlemen. Really long